You guys really want to get to the bottom of this Immaculate Constellation thing, huh? Well, we're taking a deep dive today with Jeremy Corbell, and let me tell you, this is one wild ride. You probably know him from, well, breaking that whole Pentagon UAP report thing back in 2021.
Oh yeah, he's a big deal in the UFO, UAP world. And in this interview, he's with George Knapp, another journalist who's been on the beat forever.
Exactly. So you know they're not messing around. And Corbell, he's really holding back, like is worried about, saying too much. But even what he does say
is explosive, man. Like that confirmation about Immaculate Constellation, he flat out says Michael Schellenberger's reporting is 100% accurate. Not kinda, not sorta, but completely accurate.
No hesitation at all. And for those who don't know, Schellenberger, he's the guy who dove into all those government secrets, and he said, Immaculate Constellation is real, it's happening now, and it's gathering information on UAPs everywhere. Space, the air, underwater, you name it.
Not some little side project either. We're talking a massive operation to track these things wherever they pop up.
And this is where my jaw hit the floor, okay? Corbell was there when they told Congress about this. Not just, heard about it later, but actually in the room when elected officials were briefed on a program that officially doesn't exist.
Yeah, how do you even process that? And what's their goal with all this secrecy? Well, Corbell says it's about analyzing UAP footage, the stuff that doesn't match any tech we know about.
So not trying to, reverse engineer it, but just figure out what we're dealing with.
Right. But here's the thing. It's a USAP, an unacknowledged special access program. Like Area 51, almost zero oversight, total secrecy. Who's calling the shots there? Why all the cloak and dagger stuff?
It's like a secret hidden inside another secret. And get this, he says there are others who know about it too, besides the supposed whistleblower. This isn't just a few guys in a basement somewhere. It seems like Immaculate Constellation is pretty well known in certain circles.
Which makes you wonder, why even bother with the charade? What are they so terrified of getting out?
I mean, what's the end game here, right? And then Corbell drops another bombshell. He's received threats, serious threats, because of what he knows about Immaculate Constellation. He even had to get law enforcement involved.
Whoa. Okay, so now we're not just talking about government secrets. We're talking potential danger. Someone wants to keep this quiet, and they're willing to use scare tactics to do it.
Yeah, and it gets worse. He makes it clear it's not just him either. Anyone who's connected to this, whistleblowers, sources, journalists, they're all targets. And that's when Corbell and Knapp, they drop this chilling detail. They've got dead man switches set up.
Dead man switches? You mean if something happens to them?
Information gets released.
Okay.
Stuff that could be really bad, not just for the U.S., but for, global stability. He doesn't go into specifics, but just the idea,
Gives me chills, man. It suddenly feels very real, like the stakes are incredibly high.
Totally. What could be so dangerous, right? What could be worth risking people's lives to protect?
It reminds me of that Wilson Davis memo we talked about before. Corbell completely believes it's real, even though it was officially denied.
The one about the government, scooping up crashed UFOs.
Yeah, that one. Deemed too hot for the public to handle. And Corbell is adamant that it's legit.
So we have all this secrecy, these potential threats, and then you've got Elon Musk saying, all this UAP stuff is just our own tech. It's hard to believe, with everything else we've learned.
Right, all those UFO sightings going back decades, even before we had the tech to do half the things they're describing, it seems a bit too simple, you know what I mean? Are we really that good?
Exactly. And then there's Edward Snowden. He had access to everything, right? Tons of classified stuff. But he never found anything about these UAP programs.
That's the crazy part. If it was just top secret stuff, you'd think he would have at least stumbled across a code name or something. But there was nothing.
So either it's buried so deep that even Snowden couldn't find it, which is hard to believe, or
it's being kept completely separate, compartmentalized to a degree we can't even imagine. It makes you wonder who's really in control here and why they're going through so much effort to keep it all under wraps.
No kidding. It's what are they so afraid of?
Yeah.
Which brings us to Corbell's call to action. And he's pretty fired up about it. He wants everyone listening to contact their representatives, especially now with these November 13th hearings coming up.
Yeah, he specifically mentioned supporting people like Tim Burchett and Representative Luna. They're on that congressional committee looking into all this.
He's basically saying, we can't just sit back and let this happen.
It's our right to know what's going on, especially if it involves, potential threats to everyone.
And if there are these programs doing who knows what with barely any oversight.
Someone needs to be held accountable, right? I mean, we're talking about decisions that could affect the entire planet.
It makes you wonder, though, Is that part of the plan?
What do you mean?
To keep us in the dark, I mean. To control what we know so we don't ask too many questions.
That's a bit conspiratorial, don't you think?
Maybe. But with all this secrecy, the threats, the dead man switches, it's hard not to be a little suspicious.
True. And it makes those comments Corbell keeps making about a bigger story even more unsettling.
Oh, I was going to bring that up. What could be bigger than Immaculate Constellation? We're already talking about a program monitoring alien tech, for crying out loud.
It's like he's saying this is just the tip of the iceberg, and the real story is something we haven't even glimpsed yet.
It's almost too much to handle, But we have to try, right? We can't just ignore it.
Absolutely. We have to keep asking questions, digging for answers, demanding transparency.
And maybe these hearings on November 13th, maybe that's when things start to change.
It could be a turning point, for sure.
Or maybe it's just another carefully planned step, like they're slowly letting us in on it bit by bit so we don't freak out.
Acclimating us to a new reality.
A reality where we're not alone and haven't been for a very long time. And if that's true, then
those dead man switches take on a whole new meaning, don't they?
Because if that information ever gets out, well, it changes everything, doesn't it?
Everything. We're on the edge of something huge, it feels like. The truth, whatever it is, it's getting closer.
And we're going to be here through it all. Every cryptic clue, every leaked document, every shocking revelation, we'll break it down, separate the fact from the fiction, and try to make sense of it all.
Because that's what we do here. We dive deep so you don't have to.
Exactly. So keep those questions coming and keep looking up. You never know what you might see.
And so, Carl, here's the million-dollar question. Do you believe that a higher form of non-human intelligence has visited this planet?
Right. So non-human intelligence exists. Non-human intelligence has been interacting with humanity. This interaction is not new, and it's been ongoing. And there are unelected people in the government that are aware of that.